Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song by Justin Timberlake called Suit and Tie. And it does sound a little bit out of tune. You may actually have to go to your tuners and kind of tune them down just a little bit to actually kind of get in tune with the recording. But even in standard tuning, it's still pretty close. But we're going to start out with a really cool little lick, actually, that Justin kind of does a little trumpet thing, where you can kind of play that by doing a little teeny F sharp minor. And the way we're going to play this, we're going to take the first finger and go to the high E on the 5th fret, second finger on the G string on the 6th fret, and third finger on the B string on the 7th fret. And if you strum the top 4 strings, the D, G, B, and E, it's actually a little D major 7, actually, but we're kind of using like a little teeny F sharp chord on the top. And you may notice if you know a D minor chord, actually it looks a lot like a D minor shape, but on 5th, 6th, and 7th. And it starts out with kind of this down, 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 as kind of a trumpet thing. And I'm kind of doing that 6 times, then kind of killing it, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kill it. It's kind of your intro. And then for our verses, or actually at the very, very beginning, our verse progression, we're going to start on an E minor chord. And the way you play E minor, first finger is going to go to the A string on the 2nd fret, second finger is going to go to the D string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds like E minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. And on our verses, actually, and our chorus, we kind of start on the E minor chord. And then from the E minor, we're going to be going to a D major chord. And when we play D major, first finger is going to go to the G string on the 2nd fret, second finger is going to go to the high E on the 2nd fret, and third finger is going to go to the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the D, G, B, and E, kind of the skinny 4 strings, that sounds a D major chord. It sounds really, really happy. And then we're kind of alternating between the E minor, the D, and the trumpet lick actually through the entire song. So there are a lot of different ways that you can kind of fill time to make that kind of interesting. And one is using one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4, which is down, down, up, down, up. And we'll talk about a very hipper one later. But if we just took the E minor and just tried that a lot, you'd have E minor, down, up, down, up, E minor, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down. Through our verse progression, we got E minor, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, D major, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, D, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down. Our trumpet lick at the end where we got that down, 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 kill it. So we're basically from there, we're going into our verse part. And on our verse part, actually, our form almost, it just kind of gets mixed up a little bit. We end up with some extra E minors. So we're going to try our verse form with that strum pattern. Like I said, we'll talk about another strum pattern in a minute. But we'd have E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down. Again. Now there's some really cool changes in timing though, like through the tune. And at the beginning actually what we kind of end up with is sort of what we'd almost call a halftime to what kind of comes later when we kind of speed up. So you may want to experiment with these different strum patterns and kind of see what matches best for you on a particular part. But another way, or another thing that we could kind of add to what we have right now is bass notes. And a lot of times on that first down of the down, down, up, down, up, we could work a bass note for that chord. So for instance, on our intro, if on the E minor, if you play the low E string and then do your down, up, down, up, so E minor, low E bass, down, down, E minor, low E bass, down, down, E minor, low E bass, down, down, and then when you get to the D chord, you can do a D string for your bass, D bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down, D with the D bass, down, down, So we tried that through our intro part, which is actually kind of also our chorus. Then we have E minor with low E bass, down, down, E minor, low E bass, down, down, E minor, low E bass, down, down, E minor, low E bass, down, tried that through our verse part, then we have E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, D with the D bass, down, up, down, D with the D bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, E minor with low E bass, down, up, down, D with the D bass, down, up, down, up, and then hit. It's a hit. Now something else you may want to think about is some different ways of playing those chords just to kind of mix them up. And on the E minor actually, well, you can make that a little bit hippier or a little bit funkier by making it an E minor 7 chord. One way to do that is to do first finger on the A string second, second finger on the D string on the second, and the pinky on the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds something called E minor 7, which can be substituted in for your E minor. Another way to play an E minor 7 is to take first finger on the A string second, second on the D string second, 3rd finger on the B string on the 3rd, and the pinky on the high E on the 3rd. And if you strum all those together, that sounds like E minor 7. It's a little bit different voicing for that chord. And actually there's some little E minor 7s up the next, kind of using what I call drone voicings, where you could kind of keep the open E, open B, and open E string kind of open. And one of them would be going first finger all the way to the D on the 5th, 3rd finger on the A on the 7, and the pinky on the G string on the 7. And if you strum all those together, that's another way to play E minor 7. And another E minor 7 would be taking first finger and going to the 9th on the G, 2nd finger on the A string on the 10, and the pinky on the D string on the 12. Or you can even just leave that pinky out of it and just kind of do 1 and 2. That would be another way to play E minor. And with all of those, actually, you still have the low E string for your bass note when you're working. And then on the D major, actually, there's some other D chords you may want to play around with. Sharp minor chord that's sort of part of a D major 7 chord. We can actually do a root position D major chord for our Ds. And one way to play that is to take the first finger and kind of just do a bar over the E, B, and G string on the 2nd fret. And that's called D major 7. Another way we can kind of play the D is when we're doing our regular D, we've got D and F sharps and A's that we're playing, and you could take those 3 notes on those 3 strings and work other voicings for it. So you could even take that F sharp minor shape, for instance, that we're doing for our hits, and use that as one of your D chords. Or you could take first finger and go high E 5th, 3rd finger on the G string 7, and the pinky on the B string on the 7, and that sounds another D major. And actually, you may notice you may be able to kind of switch between those chords too on the strum pattern, and kind of hit a cool link between the D major and then that kind of the F sharp minor we're using for our trumpet lick. And then from there, if you go to the high E on the 10 as kind of a mini bar over the E and B, and everybody loves mini bars, and second finger is going to go to the G string on the 11th fret. That's another little D major chord. Another little D major 7 that's near there actually is if you did the first finger on the high E 9th fret, second finger on the B string on the 10, 3rd finger on the G string on the 11. That would be another one, and you could almost kind of figure out a way to kind of use first finger as a slide to kind of slide between those. So that might be kind of cool to switch between the D major chords as you're going through. Anyway, so that's some other things you may want to kind of try and add in with that strum pattern. Now, something else that I would think about doing is kind of using something called a 16th note strum pattern, and this can be especially useful as you're going through the tune and kind of working the halftime thing where he kind of slows down to almost half the speed that he was at before. And one of my favorite, well, and actually what a 16th note is right now if you're tapping your foot to the beat, the down, down, up is kind of dividing that beat into 4 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or into 2 parts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And what a 16th note is where you divide that into 4 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's called a 16th note. And one of my favorite 16th note strum patterns is a long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. And what I mean by that is if you take the E minor and do it down for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you're doing on the first beat. And then on the second beat, you're doing down on 1, down on 3, up on 4. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on the third beat, you're doing an up on 2, down on 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, up, down, 1, up, down, 1, up, down. And then on the fourth beat, you're going down, up, right along with the 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, together, you got long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, long down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. Now if we were going to try that through the intro, actually, which is kind of our chorus form, the weird part about that that form is you may feel like you have to do less E minors. So if we tried that strum pattern through our intro form, we'd have E minor, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, D, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, D, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, D, down. And then if we try that through our verse form, then it really depends on how fast you're playing that pattern, because you could actually get it to fit doing it faster actually through that intro form. So you could have E minor with kind of that down, 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 up, down, 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 E minor, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up. And especially through that first verse that we hit, actually that can feel really good because that's where it's kind of cranking it up with the drums. So if we tried that strum pattern through our verse, kind of at a faster tempo, we'd have E minor, down, 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 E minor, down, 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 E minor, down, 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 B, down, 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 so you may want to kind of experiment with that. And something else you could do with that pattern actually is kind of add bass notes to it. And so if you did kind of a bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, that could be a very, very cool thing to kind of try too. So we tried our next chorus that way. We'd have E minor with a bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, E minor, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, D with a D bass, down, down, up, D bass, down, up, down, D with a D bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, E minor, Louis bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, E minor, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, D with a D bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, D with a D bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, E minor, Louis bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, E minor, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, D with a D bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, D with a D bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, E minor, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, E minor, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, D with a D bass, down, down, up, down, down, lick. And so you could try doing a bass, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up on each chord. So we took our next verse and kind of tried it that way. We'd have E minor with a low bass, bass, down, down, up, bass, down, up, down, bass, bass, down, down, 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 bass, down, up, down, beat the D bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, up, down, beat the D bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, 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 beat the bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, lick. And then from there we'd be going to try that next chorus. That way we'd have E minor with bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, D with the bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, E minor, bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, E minor, bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, D with the bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, D with the bass, bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, E minor, bass, bass, down, down, E minor, bass, down, 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 up, down, D with the D bass, down, down, bass, down, up, down, D with the D bass, down, down, bass, down, down, there we go into a halftime part that really feels like our intro. And this is a little weird because you'd almost end up going kind of half the speed that we were doing before through our verse form. So you may want to experiment with kind of doing that halftime, kind of experimenting with what strum pattern kind of feels good to you through that part. So it's really kind of slow through that part. Down, down, up, bass, down, beat with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat around the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat around the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat around the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat around the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, and then the lick, down, up, down, 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 down. And then we kind of go into our chorus part, kind of like our with that kind of halftime feel. So we have E minor with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, E minor with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, E minor with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, beat with the bass, bass, down, up, bass, down, E minor with the bass, bass, or D with the bass, down, up, bass, down, E minor with the bass, bass, down, bass, down, E minor with the bass, bass, down, bass, down, D with the bass, bass, down, bass, down, and then we got our hit again. So it's kind of interesting, like how they kind of switch the timing up on that. And then from that, we'd be going back into our verse. And especially if you're playing this out solo, actually, you may want to just kind of pick one feel that works for you and just kind of use that through the entire tune. But it is kind of cool to listen to how Justin mixes things up, especially timing-wise. There's actually a cool little lick that kind of comes in on that too, where you play 4th fret on the G string, and then 3rd fret on the B string, and then play 3rd fret on the B string and kind of do a slide to 5. So if you're doing more lead stuff, you kind of have that 4, 3, 3, 5 slide kind of in the background through that part. And actually, if we try that last verse with the down, down, up, down, just to review that, actually, let's try that. We got the E minor, down, down, up, down, 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 D, down, down, up, down, D, down, 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 E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, down, up, down, E minor, down, 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 D, down, down, up, and then the lick. But that's the basics of how you could strum through Suit and Tie by Justin Timberlake. So good luck!